25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20 seconds.
19.
18.
17.
16.
15.
14.
13.
12. 11. 10.
9.
8.
7.
6.
5. 4. 3. 2. 1. 0.
Sun's going down. I won't hurt you anymore. No one will.
Let's show him what some real dragon fire looks like.
Greetings and salutations, my friends, and welcome to Pops Talk. I am Pops. We're going to be hanging out again tonight, talking about all sorts of different, things that are in the fandom and the nerddom and topical. And the thing is, with us as always is our unofficial co-host. She looking angelic as always here to my left, Magitek Max. How are you doing, Max?
Hey, Pops. Hey, y'all. I'm ready to go get into this.
Let's do it. And with us tonight is our guest, Abomination AJ. Get a chance to finally have him into the show and hanging out with us, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm glad to be here. Finally get to talk to one of the vets in the geek game, Pops.
Oh, I am an OG. Long before you, this channel was doing its thing. This old man was, doing fandom stuff. It's a little, I'm an old schooler, that's for sure. But no, man, it's great for hanging out and love your takes, love your stuff. We'll get to more of that as well as we kind of unravel through this kind of stuff. So before we started, we were kind of touching base, and you guys are ahead of me because I have not watched a minute of Cobra Kai yet. I've heard all the praise and all the love. Mags was basically all but like virtually trying to hold me down to watch it because she's all about it. But
get onto it, Pops, please.
you guys are heaping the praise on Cobra Kai, so let's throw it out there. AJ, what is it about Cobra Kai for you that's just like this show is just top notch?
Well, I haven't seen the original Karate Kids, like not all the way through, and it's not really ingrained in my mind. It probably was on the TV as I was younger, but I want to say just the absurdity of the show, the continuation of a movie sequel, and now I like the idea of expanded universes in a way, especially if they don't disrespect the characters that came before. But that the story it's not so far out there to where anybody can't pick it up. It's just a fun ride, a good experience, some martial arts, some action, and you grow with the characters. It makes you care about the older characters, especially when they have like the flashbacks or as a character walks in and then the dramatic music plays, you're like, oh my goodness, like what is this emotion I'm supposed to be feeling right now? Like who is this person? So when I'm done with Cobra Kai, I will go back and watch the old movies because I don't know, this show just makes me care.
So you have not watched them at all, or you've only caught like pieces or things like that?
I caught pieces of the later ones. I know for sure I've seen the first one, but I do think that I was just so young and it was just nothing that I really cared about. And that's not against the movie. I was just always like really into animation. So if I saw something that was live action, unless it kind of was just all the way out there, like how wild the concept of it was, I just didn't stick with me.
That's fascinating because that was actually a topic of discussion on Loki's show when they were heaping some praise on Cobra Kai. They were asking if someone who's never watched the movies would enjoy the show, and you're proof positive that's true. That's awesome. So
yeah. And I understand how important these characters are to a lot of people. So I like how, even though I'm not involved in a particular fandom, I like to see fans of that franchise enjoy it, speculate, have those good, passionate conversations. So, yeah, I appreciate this show for allowing me an entry point into that world and to be able to be involved in those conversations now.
Megs, you've watched the OG Karate Kid, so I know you've got a love and a passion that's going on there.
Well, I mean, of course, the first one has always been, one of my favorite things of my childhood growing up. That movie I think I remember seeing the second one. I haven't seen any of the others after that as much as the first one, because the first one was always on the recorded VHS tape of my grandmother's, and we would just like rewind and do the separate rewinder, and then have to put it right back into the VCR to watch it again. I mean, it never got old. So I love the concept with the show that you always hear about Johnny Lawrence was the quote unquote enemy in the original movie, but at the same time, all of these characters, they have so much depth. They have so much development as well in terms of their, being able to communicate, get past their faults, get past any kind of miscommunications. I mean, it feels like actually like what we always talk about in some of these other shows like Disney, Marvel, and everything else. It's like these writers are not writing like human beings. In Cobra Kai, they're actually being written as human beings. People do have, we all have had flaws and issues with others in the past, and we all have to face those fears and be able to get over them. And not only that, but what is good and evil in this kind of universe, and trying to figure that out. And then you have I would call it more like a B plot into the show. It's not really, it is part of the main plot, but it's kind of another plot into the show where it's for a younger generation of kids trying to figure life out on their own. But it's not copying and pasting, the original Cobra Kai. It's something completely and utterly different in today's modern world. And they tackle all kinds of, and I'm not using this term lightly, but they tackle all kinds of diverse topics. It's just amazing how they've been able to have an interwoven concept with these stories from people from all kinds of walks of life. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. Everybody has some sort of struggle. So it's really fascinating to me, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And, of course, you have the karate. So, I mean, you get the action-packed scenes.
It seems like the show has not only managed to, but surpassed what these shows towards this audience has been made for, like all of CW, right? So you go back to even like a Riverdale and things like that, where you have this there's legacy elements to it, but there's also stuff written for a younger audience. A lot of interpersonal relationships and real life problems are surfacing. Yet this show seems like it's so superior to a lot of these other things that have been created. Do you, you feel like that's pretty accurate? I mean, AJ, it's worked for you. You didn't even have a context of what you were getting yourself into in a lot of ways. You probably just heard it was good.
Yeah, for sure. Like Max was speaking on, like the layers of drama. You have the adult drama that's going on. That's it references the older movies, but it's like, okay, what are the consequences of all those things that's happening? Where are those kids that we grew up with to see become karate champions or involved in that story, now to see them in adulthood, and how that rivalry of theirs, and again, consequences, led them to where they are, and how that impacts the younger generation. So you have the adult drama, and then you have the teen drama. And I personally love teen dramas. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's taking you back in high school, feeling like, I could have done some things differently, or been the jock instead of a nerd or something. What is that life like? But it hints at that. But another thing the show does well is tells all these layers of story from the perspectives of, I don't want to say a lot of different characters, but a few, like enough characters in addition to the OG characters, and it's still not too much. It's not like a whole lot of just dogpiling you with information and lore and, you know, instances and whatnot. I don't know, it's done well.
No, Moss, thanks you, man, for hopping in here and saying hey to us. We appreciate it so much. Even though you say you can't stay long, we still love you, man. Hang in there. Jacob Ironside popping in. Hey there, my brother. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking Cobra Kai. And Max, I think he's just basically elaborating on what you were saying too, where they did such a great job of threading this one main story plot with adults. They're bringing up kids. That's another story plot. What I hear is also how well they manage the real life drama. Like, it's a karate show, yes, but they're talking about like marital problems, dealing with their kids. Kids are having relationship issues, but it doesn't seem like it ever derails the show. We don't end up with like these massive, I don't know, subplots or story arcs that just make you not interested and want to give it all up. That's kind of what they've hit the nail on their head.
I think so. And sorry to cut you off there for a moment, but it's fascinating because as I don't like to, like, when I left, when I graduated high school and graduated college, I didn't want to go back to that. Like, some people like to live in that mindset of, high school, college, and that's fine. But for me, I'm just like, I want to leave that in the past. But this show hits it in a different way where it's like, yes, I have felt that way before. And it's kind of like watching these characters being able to weave these complicated issues, or, kind of not really weave, but kind of navigate through those complicated issues of the teenage years. And then you have adults who are dealing with their own issues where, you root for somebody. It's like, you're almost there. You almost got it there, buddy. It's okay. You can have that communication with that person, or, you don't have to fight, or you don't have to think that way. But one thing about this last season, a lot of things got wrapped up as far as some of the drama. And I'm not going to say with whom, because obviously it's far more complicated and has far more depth than I can explain it. And AJ understands where I'm coming from with that. But I love the way it wrapped everything up, where you could see the maturity and the development of everybody. And it just seems, it's so satisfying, because you always watch some of these other shows and nothing is satisfied, not really any good payoffs, or it's always these MacGuffins or these whatever mystery boxes or what have you. In this show, you get satisfied, you get payoffs. I mean, it could be something completely minor, but then it's like, oh, that's awesome, they did the thing. It's like, it's stuff like that. So it definitely keeps you on your toes. I felt like in season 3, it felt like it was lingering a little bit too much into the, teen drama too much. But I think in a way, with having season 5, it definitely pays that off quite well. I mean, I know maybe that is a little bit slow for me, in my opinion, as far as season 3, but they didn't keep going at it and going around in a circle with it. They actually really completed. I felt like in some cases, some of the development arcs for some characters, but of course, we don't know. I don't know. Is there going to be a 6th or 7th season? AJ, do you know of any information on that?
It hasn't been confirmed. Everything is still kind of up in the air from what I heard. Guys, speaking a little bit to, is this a series finale, you think? We're going to carry on? Or just sort of like it can work either way?
Yeah, from what I heard, I haven't done any research myself, but I heard that it was written to be like open-ended, to where if they did get another season, they could continue on and it makes sense, as opposed to just making up something later on. So yeah, that's my answer to that. It doesn't have to be a finale, I don't think. Now at some point it could be too much. There's a such thing as, like, I guess, overkill, and like, oh man, you should have ended this a long time ago. And to your point, Mags, of how you think season 3 kind of lingered on too long, I can understand how a season kind of lingered somewhere or didn't give you the hype that you had on the previous season. But I do think as a complete, if you look at Cobra Kai just as like a complete series, if it does decide to end here or keep going, I do think once you get like the full box set, you'll appreciate it. You'll want to go on with that story. But so does that answer your question, Pops?
No, I think so. I think you guys are selling me on it. I literally just I'm not averse. I am not trying to avoid the show. For any of you that are watching this, you're gonna start blowing me up.
Yeah, you are, Pops.
It is a time management issue. I'm in the middle of another Indian cinema film, and for those of you that don't know, these freaking movies are like 3 hours long, so it's a lot. You're watching subtitles, so you can't really. I'll look away and do some stuff. I'm listening, but then I realize I've gone 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm like, I really don't know what's happened. I have to start again.
So Pops,
when you do something you can do,
when you do watch Cobra Kai, I do suggest, and I think AJ can back me up on this. You can't just watch one episode. You have to finish. There are 10 episodes per season.
Everybody says I have to watch at least the first 3, and then I'll be hooked.
Yeah, you're going to have to really set down time because you're going to want to go to the next episode immediately. So,
but that's a want to, not a need to. Correct. That's like the Stranger Things effect for me. Like when I saw.
No, I think want is greater than need in this instance.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fine. That was a Stranger Things effect. When I got to season 4, I was like, I don't know, and I was immediately hooked. And I was like, okay, I want to watch more. I wanted to watch more. It wasn't just because, I hear it's good. I'll get to the good when I get there. You know what I mean? It's not like that. So that's what I hear about Cobra Kai. Castle came in here. Hey to Castle. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. All right. Well, that seems like our Cobra Kai thing. It's at the top of everyone's recommend list. We start with that. I'm the odd man out here where I don't really watch it. So we'll let Mags turn the tide because she's seen something I know I have less interest in seeing because you're enduring Ring of Power for some reason. And
Pops, can I contribute or talk about the last one before we move on?
Yes.
Because you compared it to Stranger Things, I do think Stranger Things was so far out there to where it kind of failed me in living up to what they set me up for. Because unlike Cobra Kai, with their lingering season, it still contributes to the story. Whereas with Stranger Things, you'll have things happen that really don't contribute to where we ended up with the final season. So I think everything that you see in Cobra Kai contributes to something. It invests you in that world. And again, the world is not so far out there. It's not so fantastical. Everything is right here in this little city or neighborhood. Karate rules all. For the most part, we do go somewhere in this season, but again, it's adding to the story. So yeah, I think great payoffs in this one world, like a contained story. I think Cobra Kai does that way better than Stranger Things. Not to directly compare them, but since you brought it up and you actually liking it, I do think you should give Cobra Kai a try. And yeah, you'll be hooked. It'll make you want to get up and move and go punch a punching bag or something. Did Pops just leave?
Oh no, he could be having internet issues. So
okay.
We can talk about Cobra Kai a little bit more. No, other than the typical main cast of Cobra Kai, like Johnny Lawrence, LaRusso, and then you have Kreese and Silver, the main core, the people that have been there since the beginning. What of the other characters who's your favorite?
So outside of the ones that you've given me, I want to say Hawk. Hawk is probably my favorite character. I'll say my favorite teen, I'll say Hawk. As far as adult, I want to say Terry Silver. I know he's kind of a main guy and he was in the original movies, but just because of that true villain, like I compare everything to Lion King somehow, but he feels like a Scar to me. Truly conniving. He's thinking multiple steps ahead. He's real smooth. So you like him, you can see how you can like him as a person, but when he reveals his like true intent, his true insidious nature, then you're like, man, I hate you, but you kind of smooth at the same time though.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's great too because they have written his character to be a really conniving, smart villain.
Yeah,
and we and you know that is what's lacking in a lot of these shows is that good. I mean, I know it's a very oxymoron thing to say, but a good villain, like somebody who you want to. I mean, you like the character because you despise the character. You know, it's just.
And
So,
and you love the intelligence about them, not just some dumb villain as, oh, my plan failed, oh, I'll catch you next time, or I'll get you next time. Then it's like, no, you're along with the steps of the plan and everything that happens, especially with Terry Silver. It's like, is this a part of his plan? How does Silver feel about this? Did that information get past him? So just that, all of that speculation going on around those characters. But Hawk, to focus on the children, the teens, because of Hawk's transformation, and that was another point I wanted to talk to Pops about, but it's kind of like we're talking about House of Dragons later. But Game of Thrones, how it shows you like nobody is truly a good guy or a bad guy. Some people are pretty despicable, but everybody has to make decisions to make sure that they survive, they get a win, and this show does that with the children. And Hawk is definitely one of those characters. To see his journey to go from being lip to this this karate all-star champion or whatever.
Right.
To see that in him, the Mohawk.
I love how his character too, he's awkward, doesn't know how to have confidence. Then he gains confidence, but it's kind of like looking at a spectrum of things. He goes from one end to the other so quickly, and he doesn't know how to tone it down or to really turn it on when it really needs to be done. I feel like he's finally finding his balance and how to handle it. And I like his character too. So I agree with that. Hey Pops, you're back.
Hey, listen, I don't know. Does it sound okay? I didn't check it. Did it work okay?
I think your mic is not on.
Okay.
It sounds like you're speaking through your computer speakers.
That's fine. Let's try to fix that too. Yep, that's exactly what it's doing. Nothing's working.
Oh boy! So one of my favorite characters, AJ, is Robbie. I have loved watching his development in terms of he's not loved by his father, kind of abandoned and isolated and being a criminal himself, and trying to work out through his problems and thinking he's doing the right thing. But this last season, or the latest season, I have loved his character development where he's understanding of Miguel and Miguel's hatred towards him. So without it revealing too much, I love the I don't know how to describe this. I love the when the two have to figure things out scene.
Okay, that scene. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah. I will say
that seems like a typical guy thing to kind of hash
and
out.
We was always waiting, like, okay, when is this gonna happen so we can get past this? But yes, without spoiling anything, I will say I love Johnny's. How do I say this? I thought I had it together. I like to see, you don't see father-son relationships a lot lately. And
I agree.
To see mistakes being made, but a person trying to make up for them. That's something that I really appreciated about this. And again, like kind of talking about how it references the old stuff. Again, I didn't know Johnny Lawrence back in the original Karate Kid, but how he was set up as the villain, but now it's like, you get to see everything surrounding that, and it's like, okay, well, was he really a villain? I'll just say that. So yeah, to see the wins that he gains throughout the seasons, and again the character building and the evolution of all of the characters, period, not just specific ones. That's not just the main characters, the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you what, it says a lot to know that AJ didn't watch the movies, and he's out there pumping the show up like this much. I think it's just great. I really do. So I would gladly hear all the wonderful things you guys were discussing. Like the whole thing was flickered. Like, it was not just the power of the computer; it was also like the modem and everything. That's why it took so long. It's like, holy crap, everything just flickered. That was so strange. Usually there's like a little bit of backup juice. So I got to check backup stuff now when we're done, because I'm like, oh man, come on, you shouldn't be kicking me off like that. That's crazy. So no, it's great. Listen, I'm like I said, not averse to watching it, and give it some time. So let's jump into Ring of Power a little bit, so we give it a little bit of a fair chance for Max to try to sell me on how great this show is and why I should spend some time catching up on Rings of Power.
It's a yawn.
Sell it, Max. Sell it.
Oh gosh, it is such a yawn, and there's so many scenes in the show that it's just boggles my mind. How did this get passed through quality assurance? I don't understand some of the decisions, and I'm not a big, I know there are others out there who have better lore or knowledge of Tolkien and his works, but at least I feel like I can at least say I understand the spirit of the story itself by the Peter Jackson movies, and reading the Lord of the Rings books after the fact when those movies came out. But it just some of the decisions by some of these characters just simply don't make sense. They don't seem to be smart. I mean, like, I'll just say it right here. Like, there's one part where Galadriel jumps into the water, and I literally laughed my butt off because I was just like, that is such a stupid move. I don't understand. Why would you do this? And then there's been several scenes where I'm just like, why are you spending so much? You have so much money that you spent on this show, and you're spending it by like 10 or 15 or 20-second slow motion shots to just kind of have your camera focused on one character doing this. I don't, it's mind boggling to me. And I'm just like, what is going on? Where are we headed? It just feels like every episode it's something like, and even some of the characters that they have created themselves, it feels like fan fiction to me. I mean, I know fan fiction better than this. So I just don't understand.
AJ, have you watched this show? Are you up to date?
No, I'm not touching it, Pops.
Save yourselves.
I literally I watched the opening sequence where the kids were picking at each other in the little paper boat thing, and I was just like, I found that so uninteresting, just the 2 minutes, that I was like, I got something else I can do. Like, I just didn't. I know that sounds that's almost ridiculous to think about, but it's like I didn't really. Everything has been so negative surrounding the show. I am not a Tolkien lore person either. I'm familiar with the movies, of course. I revisited the books, at least at a high level, because I don't think I read all of Lord of the Rings again when the Tolkien biopic movie came out, and we were covering that for what I was working for at the time. But I know enough, and then just the way the promotion has gone, the cheesiness of like the costuming looks like drapes and like knockoff armor, and just, I mean, some of the sets and the CGI and stuff doesn't look bad, but it's like the grand scheme of it, I just don't care. And I also like, there's no stakes. Like, I just know where all this is going, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't really care too much about how Sauron becomes Sauron and whatever.
What was it? It's some of the. And you're right, Pops. The sets and the scenes, it's so, there's no balance to it as far, they spent so much money on this show, and there's scenes where I'm like, okay, I can see where the money is put here, but then in other scenes I'm just like, this looks cheap. I mean, it's so there's no balance to it. There's no real structure to the budget as to where they're spreading out that money. And then you have, and I'm definitely seeing this a lot. There are two things that I have noticed about the show. They keep talking about for this is my paraphrasing of it, but I think everybody understands this line from The Last Jedi. But it's, kill the past, kill it if you have to, kind of vibes to it, especially with some of the dialogue. They keep talking about the past and, killing it and everything else. I'm just like, yo, this is kind of not subtle Amazon.
Yeah, a lot of on the nose,
Yeah, and then the other one is not only, so you have two concepts. So you have the past situation going on, but they keep having scenes where it's very member-berry-ish to Peter Jackson's trilogy. There's this one scene where I'm not going to go, talk about it too much, but somebody dies, and the scene is so similar. It's not the same, but similar to Boromir's death. So it's kind of like, all right, so you're talking about killing the past, but then you do. Well, first of all, they didn't reach back out to Peter Jackson because they realized that the script was terrible and he probably would not want to do it. But second of all, I'm just like, but you're still calling back to something that's, not in the story's past, but out in our past in terms of what we remember. So I'm like, I'm a little confused, Amazon. You want to use something that's...
They want it both ways.
They want it both ways. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you can't do that. So
Jacob says he lasted 11 minutes. So you're ahead of me, probably about 9. I lasted like 2, I think. So, and I'm 2 ahead of AJ, just so we're clear how far we are in the show. It was a show no one asked for, written by people that don't know or care about the lore. Amazon, quote, consume plebes. Yes, a very expensive consume plebes, a very expensive. I think this is why it's so important that the people have hit me, and I got this the worst probably during the Kenobi of, if you hate it so much, why are you watching it? And worse, why are you making videos? Like, why are you talking about it? I'm like, because this crap's going to be there forever. This crap's going to be there. Sure. These companies, quote, may change hands, licensing, they may get sold, whatever. But reality is, it's still content. It will exist in some form or another. And someone's going to be watching this crap. And I don't want anybody to think that I like this stuff if I don't like it. So at some point, I will endure something that's even as bad as what I hear about Lord of the Rings knockoff show. So I don't know. I don't know about AJ. AJ seems like he has no chance.
So, my wife tried to get me into watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I made it to the second movie, and it's entertaining. It's not for me, but I can see how a lot of people enjoy it. But as I was watching these movies, then the announcement of the Rings of Power came out, and then, I see the trailer, and I'm able to spot differences or just, weird moves, we could say agenda-driven moves. And I wasn't even a true fan of this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I don't even want to get invested because that's coming out. And I don't want to see that disrespect these characters.
We can say bastardization. I will go there. I will go with bastardization. That is a fair word to use for what this is too. It's just a horrible byproduct that is stealing, as Mags was saying, right? It's trying to steal both ways. It's trying to steal the stuff that you look at and you feel comfortable in, even though we're going to erase things we don't like. But then we're also going to tease you and jingle some things over here that we know you'll kind of recognize and you might like, and that you'll feel comfortable consuming this. It'll make it easier, make the time go by faster. And that's good. What is there anything in particular you saw in the promotion? It was like a major turnoff for me. My biggest thing was I saw trailers and stuff where I never got any story. I never got any idea what on earth what we're gonna do with the show. Like, it's just a bunch of random visual stuff and just not any like, this is what the story is going to be. I really don't. From them, I know I've heard from people talking about the show, but from them, I don't get what the show is. They never really told me much.
I remember I thought they mentioned the rings. It was called Rings of Power, and I think Galadriel was reaching for a ring, but because I seen like the first and the second movie, then I was like, okay, well there was some rings made. This big bad guy, I guess he has all the power, so I was able to pick up on things. So I just figured, okay, maybe people who actually read the books, these diehard fans of Tolkien, maybe they actually know what's going on. But seeing Galadriel from the Lord of the Rings movies, and then seeing this warrior woman character, and I was like, okay, well, I've seen that happen with so many other female characters that I know, to where when I saw other people talking about it, and they said that like this is not who this character is supposed to be. She's not supposed to be this strong, independent woman, don't need no man type stuff. Then I was like, oh, okay. So they're again bastardizing this franchise. So now I don't want any part of it, because I don't want to start making all the videos saying this is wrong because of this. And I was just like, you know what? I can keep my attention on the struggles that I'm already having with like Disney itself.
Mags, we don't have to worry about spoilers at all on this, because I don't care. So the one thing I have heard, I want validation, is all of the promotion. I mean, tons of the quotes and stuff that was coming from promotion was centering around this black actress who plays this dwarf, right? She's a dwarf, right? Or is she a hobbit?
She's a dwarf, Diza, right. Queen Diza.
So Queen Diza, that sounds so ridiculous in Lord of the Rings fandom. Like it sounds like, obviously a Queen Latifah, and it sounds like an amalgam. Like they're in a room and you just see them like putting this together. Like, oh, that's it. That's perfect. That's it. I can just see these scissoring hands doing this. Okay, so
they probably wanted La Diza, but they was like, nah, that's too on the nose right there. Let's take the La.
Queen. She's a queen. She's a slay, girl.
Oh my gosh, you're right, AJ.
But I heard she's barely in it so far. Like she's just not relevant, really.
And that's the thing. I know a lot of other people. I mean, I like their interaction too. Durin and Diza. They seem to be better as far as characters are in this show itself. I mean, Elrond is just, I don't, he's not my Elrond. But
that's the guy that looks like Doogie Howser and Ryan Kinel.
Yes, exactly. Okay, except he's not as angry as Ryan Kinel. he's writing poetry, and that's not right.
Oh, that'd be interesting. That's some angry poetry right there.
But what was it? But yeah, she's barely in the show, and yet they have used her as if she's like a human shield for them to hide behind. And I don't know about anybody here, but me personally, I find that very insulting. To use her as a prop for like a sacrificial lamb and a prop for their projections, and it's disgusting to me. I mean, I can't.
I find it all racist. I got to be honest. I don't want to bounce.
Very racist.
I don't want to be around people that are exploiting other people. Like that's how I feel. I feel like it's a racist move to try to do stuff like that, and I don't want to be associated with people who behave that way. I don't behave that way. I don't see things that way. So why would I want to associate with people that behave that way? So for me, that was very off-putting. And like I said, I wasn't really invested in the show, but now that's all come out, and I'm like, well, clearly that's the only reason that she was put front and center. Like there's no other explanation. She's an irrelevant character, and there's all this, hoopla around her being Ladisa. And that's what I'm going to call her, because that sounds way better than whatever character they gave her. So anyway, I don't know. But, look, we have Bifer in here from, I believe, from overseas. He's from India. So, hey, man, he's been a big supporter of mine. Thank you so much for hopping in here. And Jacob Ironside, yes, you know what? Why? Why does a rock sink, a boat float? Because a boat was made to float. And you know what I thought about whenever this happened? I know this is so stupid. This is how childish my brain works. They're throwing rocks. And I'm like, you guys know, paper beats rock. I don't understand this scene. I don't understand this scene at all. So, is there anything that you've enjoyed, Mags, of Ring of Power? Tell me on, okay, you know what, Pop? It's not good. It's not bad. But while you're watching it, you probably will fill this in. Swordplay?
There's barely any swordplay. How do I say this?
Not jumping off of a sword, almost cutting your feet in the process.
That whole scene just aggravates me because I'm just
we
like,
should just probably move on. It's probably better for my health.
well, it's not only that, but it's like, okay, they're all elves. Why aren't the guy elves also fighting alongside Galadriel? No, she's got to do it all by herself, and it's like, this is so unbelievable. I mean, I know she's powerful, but if they're trying to, because I saw something the other day where they were talking about, or on Twitter where people are defending the show and Galadriel, and it's like one of the things they said was, I'm paraphrasing, of course. Well, they need to tone her down for this show to show her character development into the Peter Jackson trilogy. But I'm just like, but then how is she doing all of this, acrobatics like this and powers hyped to the core, but she still needs to develop herself? I'm confused.
I don't know.
It just doesn't make any. They're so confused as to what they really want out of the show, and
True. Okay.
they don't know how to write characters in terms of how they build up to be who they're supposed to be.
You know how I feel about that. I stand corrected, Bradford. Thank you so much for letting me know you're in New York City. I just know I see you on all of my other those type of films and stuff, and that type of deal. It's just good to know. All right, New York City it is. So, all right, well, let's move on from that for freaking Pete.
Well, Pops, for the racism comment, because
let's dive there a little bit, because I saw you cringe. Like, this is a huge.
We got to stew on that one.
Let's spin our wheels for a minute.
Yeah. So it's very racist, and it's a recurring pattern. So it's happening. The decent character, that was one of the other reasons why I was like, okay, I don't want to watch this show, because seeing her talk and just saying like the narcissism, like I'm happy to be the poster child for diversity or colored women in Tolkien's work or something. And again, I don't really care about this property all that much, but I remember in the Hobbits there were female dwarves, and no one in this world that I saw were brown skin or like black. And because they weren't written to be that, it's based off of European, myths or folklore. So I understood that my people wasn't really supposed to be there unless they went somewhere that was, close to or the fictional version of, like, I don't know, Africa or something, or South America.
Which as I understand, they could have done. They easily could have twisted the story to say, well, the adventure will go over here to these other areas of the map. The map, obviously based on reality, you could have had these fictional lands, and this was this type of culture, this type of environment, these type of situations.
Yeah.
They refused to do that. No, we must not do that.
So saying that, people with the same skin tone, complexion, they usually, there's a group of them. And if you pay attention, there's always one black per group. And this company has done that, but the same with Star Wars with the Moses Ingram, that character.
Oh yes, Reva.
We're gonna push her in here, and she's black. So if you don't like her, you're racist. This also happened with Lightyear, where you had this guy that they had to take down to highlight all of the brown characters around him. But then once you do things like that, not realizing that you're creating one entry into this bigger franchise, then, people like me and others who are thinking critically, we start to ask questions. Well, in Lightyear, where were all these brown people in, why didn't Andy buy these toys? Is Andy a racist now because he didn't have the brown people in his collection? Because they said this is the movie that Andy saw. This is what made him want a Buzz Lightyear figure. So why didn't he want the others? But then once, they claim representation and everybody's important. Well, once I go into Walmart or, a toy store or something, then I only see a Buzz Lightyear action figure. So the black people were good enough to put in your movie to shield your criticisms, but they weren't good enough for you to actually make action figures with, which is what these companies do.
Cut them deep, AJ. Cut them deep.
And that's why I hate the pandering, is because I can see how they really feel about
And,
people.
and,
who
and
look
then
differently.
in reality is people are onto that, and that's why they're like the Reva lightsaber didn't sell because no one
Yeah.
cared. She was such an unlikable character. That was one of my big arguments with Reva because I always put it like way down my list of criticizing Kenobi was I criticized the writers and the directors before I got to the actress, but I'm like, by the way, if she's your representation, she's kind of a witchy woman that no one's going to want to be like or act like or cosplay like who wants to be that one? Like,
Right.
of all the role models that you have presented, there's however many you want to line up there, you get to pick some. She's not going to be on the list. These kids are smarter than that. They want to be heroic. They want to be positive. They're not going to be. She's the villain, and you're making her even worse amongst her own villains.
And not only that, but kids do not see. They don't see like adults do, or how they're making issues, these small issues, really, being the forefront of everything on movies and entertainment in general. Kids will cling to characters that they love. I mean, some of us all grew up with different characters from all walks of life in terms of the story, and it didn't matter who or what they looked like.
Mm-hmm.
We loved them anyway. So
yeah,
I mean, it's just.
I found her insulting.
I
found Reva one of the most insulting ones. And again, I tried not to focus on it because of Lando Calrissian. I loved Lando Calrissian. I thought he was just such a cool dude. He's like the ladies' man. I thought he was
smooth, and he's a businessman.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, it's got it going. He's running Bespin. He's kind of talking back to Vader at least a little bit. Like he knows his place, but he's like, push back a little bit. I'm like, I don't know, man. I was so like, anytime they would even hint like the first what, I'm like, no. Anyway, by the way, I'm reviewing. I'm going to probably release it tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I get to it tomorrow. I did do Pinocchio only because something had to challenge Shark Side of the Moon as being the worst movie of the year, and Pinocchio was Disney's way of saying, "You think so? Here, hold my beer. I can make a worse movie." And there is a token black person that just walks across the screen, like we're supposed to acknowledge, like this is the token black person that's in Italy. But during Pinocchio's time, it makes no sense, and it's there just for that reason, and it's extremely insulting. It is so.
That's what I said, Pops. They just have to just place one in there somewhere just to say, we got him. We got him. We're doing this for y'all.
I know.
You're our checklist actor here. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the alphabet community when they do it to them. I was so angry. Like I made my friend even more angry than because he talked to me on the phone, and then I explained my stat. I'm like, listen, making Tim Drake gay now should be insulting you because you said you were born this way. This is how you live. This is how I see you. You're my friend and you're gay. But they're saying no, after 30 something years and God knows how many girlfriends in comic book lore. Oh, now suddenly he's going to swing the other way because he met some dude named Bernie. That doesn't tick you off. He's like, well, I didn't really think of it that way. There you go, my friend. There you go.
Yeah.
They don't want you to think.
They don't. And they know for the most part consumers are not thinking. So it's like, why do we have to do the work? They won't call us out for it. And that's why you see them try to shut up our opinions or our criticisms because we're calling them out. We're doing more thinking in a live stream and developing better stories than, they have with so much time and funding. And we make them look bad. So
well, we're racking up all the isms by hating on all of their products. I mean, we are just racking up the isms. And I know, Mags, you really haven't watched. I got to be honest. House of Dragon is kind of like this nice. I don't know. It is obviously third wave feminism. It is there, especially episode 1, and it kind of keeps coming back as a theme. But the real problem with the show is it's very small. I came into Game of Thrones way late. I binged it during the pandemic in like 3 weeks of my life. I was really happy I didn't spend years of my life like everyone else did, because after season 3, to me, it goes off a little ledge of a cliff, and then it just goes all the way down to 8, where it's insane. But what was great about, to me, Game of Thrones was the massive amounts of political intrigue and back and forth and power hungry. I don't know about anyone else, but I felt like you're wanting to put yourself in these situations like, holy crap, if I had to survive in a situation, this is my castle and I don't have this heir and I have this little 12-year-old and I have a girl and I have you were role playing in your head all these different scenarios of what things could happen. And of course it did such a good job of, I don't know if that was where this term came from or where it elevated, was the whole subversion of your expectations, right? Because I had heard about it, but I didn't really know. So when Red Wedding happened, man, I was shocked for like a day. I was like in shock for like a day. It was insane. One of the best episodes of TV ever done. Just got you. And this show is so small. There's like it's like 2 characters that are even remotely, I guess the king matters. King doesn't really matter. Let's be honest. But there's 3 or 4 characters. But we don't have like the Stark family intrigue and this family intrigue. These people come and go, and I don't know about you, AJ. You've watched it. I know, Mags, you haven't. I'm not going to be selling you much on this show in a way. It's good for the political intrigue, but it's small. I don't know, AJ. What are your? It's okay.
We share the same criticism, Pops. It's now, to be fair, it's House of the Dragon. It's not the Game of Thrones.
That's true.
But you're following up, Game of Thrones, where, like you said, it included all this political, these political issues as well as the fantastical elements. So you had the White Walkers. You had the I love my wolves and my werewolves and whatnot. So you had the dire wolves. So this family, which they had this magical creature that they thought was extinct for so long, and it's like, wow, here are all these pups, and there's one for each individual kid of the wolf house. So those fantastical elements, and then the dragons, and just agreed, Pops. It was a huge world, and then you're giving me the small story, and you're expecting me to care about it when I know, it just we end up with Game of Thrones. So that's my issue as well. I'm really watching this as a normie. I just want to see big dragon fight. But besides that, it's just here. It's just happening, and that's how I feel about a lot of entertainment right now. Nothing is really impacting culture or adding to it positively. Things are just happening, and at some point, hopefully, this phase of entertainment will blow over, and people will get back to actually creating and taking chances with stuff. So yeah, same criticism. Too small.
Well, speaking of creators, let's just take a pause. Hail to Zax. Zax, my friend, I'll be happy to grab some coattails and learn from you, my friend. Cranking it out, doing your thing, man. I am so blessed. I've not created it yet, Zax. I promise you when this is over, I will create our stream. Tomorrow morning, we will definitely do something about 10:30 Eastern time, and we're going to basically do something along the lines of, are Americans ready for Indian cinema? And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the positive and negatives with some of the films we've seen, and kind of how well we think some things can be received or not received. That's my generic take. We were able to figure out how to get our schedules to cross at least for an hour or so. It's tough. We run in 2 different time constraints, so it's tricky. But no, he's a great creator. So Max, I don't know that we've really sold you on House of Dragons. I will say I enjoy it. I really am enjoying it. Matt Smith is the best part of the show. He's the second best part of the show, and he's probably the third best part of the show. And then you get to, the Rhaenyra character, and then it's like I hate it because I don't feel like I'm selling it, because it's not bad. It's just not Game of Thrones to me. I think AJ's right. They saw us on House of Dragon. I really never thought of that, AJ. He really did the nail on the head for me. They're telling us, because that's what the creators would say with this criticism. Well, it's House of Dragons. It's not Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
All right, fine. But you are really slicing thin on that, because that's like, because we do have other houses coming and going. There's all these suitors for Rhaenyra. The Lannisters are there at times. You have all these different things that are happening, and you don't feel. I feel like I'm in a more of a medieval world than I even felt with Game of Thrones, where I felt like I was in a medieval world, but with fantastical elements that made it different. Now I just feel like I'm in a medieval world. I don't feel a whole lot, other than the fact that there are dragons. There's really nothing else that makes me feel that it's different. So yeah, that's out there. I don't know if that's really a positive or a negative. I'm very vanilla on it. I haven't done videos because I'm a super normie on all this stuff. Yeah. So
I've heard similar takes, pops like yours and AJ's. I know there are other people who I'm friends with. They really enjoy the show, but it could just be a combination of this is like, how do I describe this? This is it's maybe not a complete breath of fresh air, but a breath of fresh air as to comparison to the Rings of Power. Because here you have two fantasy shows being aired at the same time, so you have a really good comparison between the two to be able to say what is good and what is not. We a lot of times we do try to compare. Okay, so this show takes similar traits from this show, but this show aired like years ago. No, we actually have live going on fantasy shows in which we can compare to. Now, of course, there's different worlds. So I wouldn't say that they're the
but they're
same.
Just two massive franchises that are happening
they're
at the same time.
Exactly,
yeah.
And it's similar, but it's similar fantasy as like in the spirit of fantasy kind of takes.
Sure.
And so it's fascinating to see that contrast between the two from reviewers and other people. I have been recommended it, and I know. I will take some time into it to look into it. I am literally, and when I say I'm a Game of Thrones normie, I have never watched the show, and I've never read the books. So I will be coming in with complete wide open eyes and really an outsider's take on it. So of course I call myself a normie on it. I have no idea, but other than the fact that season 8 was not the greatest season at all. Yeah. And I remember that watching all of those shows on Mahler and EFAP and Az and Nerd Gary from Nerd Rock. Everybody was talking about it. It was I found that far more entertaining than the actual show.
Oh, it was I got to be honest, it was so bad. I never watched any of the stuff. I tried to stay away from all that. I didn't have any. Like I said, I knew of the Red Wedding, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know who people were and like that. I didn't read a page of the books, nor will I. It's not my thing. I'm with Brandon. I don't really care for Game of Thrones. Like I've watched it. It's fine. I'm like the first 3 seasons are good. My opinion. House of Dragons, same darn thing. Yeah, I'm with you, man. But thanks for being here. Give me your thoughts. I appreciate it. So Paul Bowler says he likes the House of Dragon. Matt Smith is a great in. Yeah, Matt Smith is the show right now. There's literally, I don't know, AJ, do you agree? Like, I kind of have a little problem when I'm supposed to be cheering for the most evil dude in the show. Like, literally, that's the reason I want to watch. Like, what will this crazy dude do next? Like, he gets away with just some insane behavior, even within their own rule structure. I don't know if that's a positive for the show or not.
To all of our criticisms, I think once I really think about them, it seems like a whole bunch of negative. And just to be honest, Damon, like he's a fine character. A lot of what he's done has been predictable, which I hate to admit, but I think, God, he's been the best character, the most intriguing character so far, but I don't think he has much competition. I think you get what I mean.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. There's no one else in the show that's even real. Everyone tries to prop up like the Hightower, the guy that was the hand, and they try to prop up some of these other. These people are completely irrelevant to the grand scheme of things, and we're basically being told that even if it's not through exposition, it's very clear. There's really, Anyway, I don't know. By the way, you're getting a major shout out from Brandon. By the way, he's going around your room. He's eye spying everything around the room. So kudos to AJ's awesome, man. If you haven't hooked up with AJ, get him on a show or a stream. He's way more knowledgeable at all that stuff than I am.
He's fanboying right now, AJ.
Yes, he is. I'm with that. I totally understand. I do that all the time. Actually,
I know Brandon. He's a good dude. So
I stopped watching Rings of Power after episode 3 because I lost interest. The show was not engaging. So you've made it. So the hierarchy right now goes AJ 0, Pops 2 minutes. Wasn't it? Was it Jacob who said 11 minutes? I think Jacob was anyway. So Mags is, and then so that's where we're at.
I'm a masochist, I guess.
Yeah, Mags. Oh boy. So let's see. My only criticism. Oh, well, I clicked the wrong one. No, I didn't go. Yeah, I did go the wrong way. So anyway, okay. My only criticism: House of Dragon. The plotting feels a bit rushed, not quite the slow burn of political intrigue of early seasons. I don't know. I don't know that I consider it slow or rushed. I think there's a lot of wasted time with Rhaenyra's character. Like we're 4 episodes in, it's still the same sulky, whiny elements to her personality that's holding her back. So we just need to move on. We got to go. We got things to do. We don't need to or talk about some other characters for a while. Can have her interact with some other characters. We'll learn about those characters through that interaction. It's definitely not as tight as early Game of Thrones was or anything like that. But again, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So we can chalk that up on our ism board too, that we've bashed on this show at least a little bit.
I haven't seen enough scheming and plotting. And that was another intrigue of Game of Thrones. It's everybody was kind of out, not everybody, but a lot of characters were out for their own personal reasons, their own personal gains. So you would see moves made and you're just like, wow, like that person really did that, or really betrayed this person. Whereas with House of Dragons, it seems like Damon's just acting out. He's just a spoiled brat and he wants things to go his way. So he does things. They're not really addressed in a way that I would want them. But yeah, the scheming, I'm not really seeing it. Like you see hints of that things happen, but
nothing's manifested.
Right. Nothing. Yeah. So,
maybe something will happen, but it's like we're always like I don't know about you, AJ, and maybe Mag's best way to explain it to you would be our expectations are too high of these other characters. Like, aren't you scheming by now? What's your scheme? Don't you have a scheme? We're expecting the little old lady in Game of Thrones was scheming for the love of Pete. How could you not be scheming? That's the best you got. I mean, come on, you got to be scheming. Like you feel like I don't even know these characters' names, AJ. So I'm sorry, man. The black dude with the white hair, his son looks just enough like him that when they had that fight scene, I couldn't tell which one's which, and I felt like that's all you guys were doing. You didn't have a better plan than this. This is it. It's just like the crab guys. This is your plan. Like. Come on, guys. You can do better than this. That's how I felt.
And like you were saying with the Red Wedding, there is a bunch of I'm not gonna say there are moments better than that, but there are a lot of moments like that in Game of Thrones where you just like your chest stops and it's like, what's about to happen? And I get that feeling in House of the Dragon, but nothing happens. And I'm like,
well, that's not it. Yeah, that's not it. So
I'm not getting those feelings. I'm just it. And again, it just makes me not really care. Things are just happening on the screen.
Yeah, Grifter's here. Hey, Grifter. Thanks for hopping in, man. It actually does sum it up well. Western media has been so bad the last year or so. I'm going to add that. House of Dragon is like an oasis. Could be overrated. Yes, I say it is overrated in some people's view of how they're pumping it up. But it's not... Yeah, it's just that. It's like I said. It's like you said. It's like there's Cobra Kai, and then there's the House of Dragon. It's like there's a big gap, evidently, from the general scope of things. So,
as far as entertainment goes, they're totally different worlds, and it's just crazy to think a neighborhood full of kids doing karate is way more exciting to see than this fantastical
These
world.
Two fantastical shows. Yeah, I know.
And not only that, but you can tell. I mean, I haven't seen, of course, House of the Dragon, but I'm comparing to Rings of Power and Cobra Kai. You can tell the passion in the actors in Cobra Kai and what they're doing and how they're acting, and they love the characters that they're playing. They want this show to succeed. Whereas Rings of Power, in contrast, seems like they got handed the silver spoon when they were children, and it's minimal effort stuff, and it just blows my mind. And even when you're seeing stuff even on social media, the people who are involved with Cobra Kai, they love their show, even the actors. So I mean, the
passion comes through. The passion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's there, and people could have some criticisms of a Cobra Kai, but to be quite honest, you can feel and see that passion through the screen, and there's a difference. And I think that's why so many it's not just the story, it's not just the characters, but it's also that passion. We feel it. We feel the genuineness of it. So there is something there to talk about with a lot of the storylines and the acting involved. But yeah, I agree. Cobra Kai is way up there.
Gordon
Yeah.
Good Brothers here. Hey there, my friend. Thanks for hopping in and hanging out with us. To transition a little bit away from that, AJ, and throw it to you for a little bit. What are you doing? How I saw your video on The Lion King, which your Mufasa thing made me laugh because that was my response to was like, really? That's what you got? I meant to ask you, I didn't watch any of the footage. I just saw it being announced. Is it a live action or animated? Do we know what it is?
Yeah, it's live action. It's the prequel to the movie.
Live action.
You mean CGI action?
Yep. And I pushed that movie out of my head so far. Like, that didn't happen, but now the trauma is all coming back to me. Yeah, so it's the prequel to that movie.
The PTSD came all the way back. I could not believe how bad of an experience that Lion King adaptation was. Like I still use that as an example to the normies when I'm trying to wake them up about how busy, how bad the mouse has become with it's just about being busy to create stuff. They don't really care how good it is. And it's like when Mufasa dies in the animated one, that cartoon, you have all this emotion, this riveting feeling of loss, this little tiny lion cub. And in this live CGI nonsense where you have this CGI lion going, no, you don't care like at all. I had zero emotional movement. I was like, that is it in a nutshell. That compare and contrast. And then if you didn't know, Mags, they'd announced Mufasa, the Lion King.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Another prequel? Like another movie about a dead guy? Like that's what we're doing now. We have no ideas. That's what we do. Oh.
My thoughts on all of that is that I definitely saw through Disney a long time ago when they were doing the movie Maleficent. And so you know what I'm talking about, AJ. Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm with you too. Yep.
And all of these remakes, reboots, or whatever, and I'm just like, look, some of these animated movies are like literally treasures for a reason because they still age like fine wine. The music, the story, the voice actors and everything. Like we all, I wouldn't say we, idol worship them, but at the same time, it's like these stories were iconic to some of my childhood. I'm sure AJ's childhood, and it's amazing. Lion King is my favorite movie.
Oh, it's special.
And
for
then
me. I couldn't agree.
The Lion King
is
my
special.
favorite movie of the Disney animated movies. It has
awesome.
There's a very personal, special place in my heart for it for a reason. And when I saw the quote unquote live action, I got very ragey about it because I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to completely ruin this. It's going to be a disaster. And in today's environment, they're going to do whatever it takes to destroy that memory. So I did not watch it because I was like, you know what? No, you're not going to take away, my favorite characters from me by doing this horrific supposed quote unquote live action. It's CGI.
Mags is going all come at me, bro, with Lion King. So Lion King is the first movie I took my oldest daughter to. She was literally like a baby, and we had like a double feature because I had actually worked on a Lion King commercial. It was supposed to be a ride commercial for something, and it turned out to not happen. But it's like, you're in a room all day long working on this commercial. So we had a special double feature for this Disney stuff, and it was my daughter's first movie, even though she was way too young to remember it. But yeah, it's huge. It's like such a big deal. It's such a great film. It holds up so well. They keep meddling with it all, like you say, and it's it's pretty awful. I couldn't believe it, and I wasn't going to be anywhere near filming or being able to do a video. And then I saw AJ's pop up, and I was just like, yep, I'm living vicariously through you, man. And your video is great. If folks haven't checked out his channel or whatever, please do so. AJ does great content, and I felt your pain, my brother. I really did. I felt it.
I appreciate that, Pops. Not real quick. So me and my wife, we run a dog business. So we have a client trying to get in touch with us. So that's what you see me doing right now. on the phone. I had to step away for a minute, but I heard you, Max. The Lion King is my favorite movie of all time.
Oh,
All
you're
right.
my man.
Yeah, the Lion King. Ooh, not to get all emotional right now, but that was the movie that I saw as a kid, and it made me want to create. You know, I'm seeing animals talk on the screen, sing. Again, it's beautiful. Like all of the colors, the music, all of it was so special. And like you said, I saw back with Maleficent. I want to say maybe there was some other live action, The Jungle Book, that had came out before The Lion King. And they're terrible. And so I knew when the Lion King came, oh, it's about to be the same thing. You can see from the trailer the dull environments, the lack of emotion on these CGI animals, when real animals are way more expressive than what they showed in that movie. And it was a lot of things. Again, like with all of these that we're seeing now, even then with that trailer, I was just like, oh, this is what they're about to do to my Lion King. But my nieces and nephews wanted to go see it, and their parents was like, hey, you love Lion King, can you take them? And I was like, man, y'all really gonna make me do this? But they didn't understand how it felt to me. It was just a movie to them.
You felt like you were a traitor to the original Lion King. Yes.
I had to fund that project.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. It's like I had to put my money into this. This is not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had screeners back then. We would go early, and you know the girls liked Maleficent and stuff, and I was like the one that had to do the review, and I'm like, why is the villain like? Why do I need this story? Like, why do I need her to be like made good? Like, I don't like this at all. Like, I didn't like the concept. I didn't like the concept, let alone the execution.
Yeah.
And then once you got to Lion King, it was like I was suffering. I was already. It's like it's like a job at this point where I have to go, and it's like. It was so bad. I couldn't. I was like, what is happening? This movie is. I will say, I didn't hate Jungle Book nearly as much as I hate Lion King. Jungle Book was so much better than Lion King. I'm not saying it's good. It's okay. I don't mind it. I agree with you 100% about, emote on an animal. However, Lion King was soulless. And all I can tell you, guy, Pinocchio is worse. Pinocchio is exponentially worse than any of them. I cannot believe how bad this movie is. It's so bad on every single level, other than the kid or whoever did the voice for Pinocchio. Other than that, I guess, Honest John's voice is fine. There's nothing else good about that film. It's that bad. And I see Grifter, you want to ask us a comment. I want to throw it back to AJ because I know I interrupted his Lion King rant. Let him go a little further.
Well, I don't want to rant too long. Like, I can talk about how terrible that movie was forever, but
yeah, I bet.
With this Mufasa prequel movie, at least it's Disney is so creatively bankrupt that they're just redoing. They're turning in like last year's homework, because they're bastardizing their own projects. It's not like them buying Lucasfilm and bastardizing Star Wars. It's like
stealing their own stuff. Yeah,
it's like these are your movies like that you've created before. Why are you giving us these terrible versions of them now? But Max, this prequel movie is that separate thing itself. And maybe, I try to be look to the future, be hopeful. Maybe the public domain stuff can happen to where others can create their interpretations of the Lion King. My plan is to buy Disney in the future and to just put all of this terrible entertainment in one little file and kind of shun it away. But this Mufasa movie, they're not held to an actual canon. There is Disney. Yeah, there is Disney canon of the Mufasa and Taka, known as Scar, story. But since it's so obscure, like to everybody, I think that they can't really do any wrong to the average person. Mm-hmm. So I think this was a safe space for them. This was a safe move for them to do a prequel. But from what I saw, what it's going to be about is Mufasa not being a biological brother of Scar, and Mufasa being adopted into the family, and was saying how Mufasa didn't become king on his own. It's going to highlight the relationships around him, the friends and family that elevated him. Exactly. Exactly, Pops. And that's
it can't be the male hierarchy. It can't be his own efforts. It can't be his own merits.
Right.
No. It'll have to be because of Nala is Nala the Simba's what's
you mean Sarabi, his wife?
Sarabi. It'll be because of Sarabi helped prop him up and encourage him during a scene.
Sarabi is my girl. They better not effort up.
I know. Come at me, bro, Max. I know. Get it ready.
The way she stood up to Scar to protect her pride, and she knew she was probably going to get hurt. So I mean, that's my girl. All
right. So
go ahead, AJ.
Go ahead, AJ. Close it out, AJ. Go close it out.
Well, I was going to say with the if you check out my video, you will see, like, I didn't go into too much detail, but a perfect hypothetical Lion King remake or adaptation, it could have been achieved. If you would have, instead of this live looking CGI, if they would have went the route of Moana, I'm sure somebody's familiar with Moana, but where you see the detail in the environment, beautiful, lush, colorful, the hair, you can see like individual strands of hair. If they would have went their route with the Lion King, well, I said that to say that back when these movies came out, Disney was going through that renaissance to where they had went through a dry period, weren't making a whole lot of money, and then they pumped out all of these movies and it got them back to, the kings of animation. And that's what we should be seeing now. But instead of making those strides to really impact culture, do things differently, they're just staying, like I said, in this safe spot. And with that Mufasa story of this prequel of him being adopted and becoming the king or whatever, well, that was already the story of Kovu in The Lion King 2, if you've seen that, Mags. So it's like they had that element there already. And if they would have continued, you could have had your strong woman because Kiara was taking over. You would have had your colored, dark-skinned lion with Kovu and that whole redemption story of not wanting to be like Scar and whatnot. But yeah, they could have, the story that they're trying to tell, they've already told it now, but nobody knows that for the most part. So again, they're just operating within their comfort zone or what they know will make money because, the Lion King, here's the man in charge. Here's Mufasa, big bad Mufasa. You don't want to mess with him.
Yep.
Now you're going to go see his story and people are going to pay for it.
And the thing is too, and my biggest fear, and I'm sure AJ, your fear too, is that they're going to try to, of course, they're going to do the typical tropes where a misunderstood villain, and they're going to completely screw up these characters and how they were in, especially what we grew up with. And they already do that now. It's just, they're trying to almost reset, for the lack of a better term, reset the actual story. And it's, right. It drives me crazy.
Well, I think what AJ is describing is just it's going to, in some way, shape, or form, tear down Mufasa. It's going to lower his majestic legacy. Is what it's doing. They're going to find ways to make it a backstory that's so much more sympathetic and relatable, and all the other nonsense they keep trying to spoon feed us. So,
and you're going to sympathize with Scar the same way they did Maleficent. Cruella.
Yes.
Cruella.
I mean, y'all can help me out, but other villain stories, now we're seeing the backstory of these people. They were so hurt. They were so done wrong that now it makes sense that they turned into the terrible people that they were, as opposed to just giving us a villain and being able to, kind of see these things from people. Disney has become the very villains that they created.
Exactly.
They don't know. Mags has said it. They don't know they're the Empire in this story.
Yeah.
Your movie sucks has a great and long video of Favreau's Lion King and how much of a mess it was. Yeah.
That's a good,
fantastic. Yeah.
And his videos are fantastic. So check out YMS.
I want to make a video like that, and it's taking me a while. I'm still new to YouTube for the most part, but I've been trying to figure out, okay, what's my style? How do I do videos? But I know for the longest I wanted to do a in-depth Lion King video, like praising the original and just dumping on this remake. But now this Mufasa is really spurring me to make more Lion King content.
You're like, wait a minute, there's priorities here. Everything is pushed aside. I need this. I need them. I need this.
Grifter's question is, remember when I was young, The Little Mermaid was full of color. This was new But why is the new one so dark? Yeah, we didn't really get to the Little Mermaid because it is just an atrocity. They don't know what they're doing, Grifter. They're literally hiring the JV squad at every single level with everything. The departments are behind schedule. They can't even get the staff they need to pump out the proper CGI. This is one of the reasons that She-Hulk looks like a complete mess, because you don't have people doing it. You have people rushing through, this scene or that scene, and it can't get done right. And I will say they also think that the darker makes it look real, and they can hide their CGI blemishes. Those are my theories. I'm trying to pull the trailer up so we can see at least a little bit of it. It's funny about Little Mermaid getting all this backlash. I'm sure by now you guys have seen it a little bit. It's getting massively ratioed online, which is beautiful. There's a lady I work with, and a redheaded family. So they're Disney people, and obviously Ariel was their favorite princess, and all this literally had mermaid parties with their kids, kind of stuff, all off the chain. When this poor girl was cast, and I just said, "Hey, do you see that they were cast?" She says, "No, it's awful." I'm like, huh. Now I didn't go there. I didn't say anything else, right? And they're POCs. They're not us token Lord of the Rings inhabitants, as we were constantly being belittled about or whatever. It's I'm trying to get it to play, and I don't know so I can try to share it, but it won't work properly here for me. So let me to get it caught up and pause. But so those of you don't know, it's been a while in the works that obviously the new Snow White movie, the live action Snow White, and the live action Little Mermaid are not going to have Caucasian princesses. They've been recast. They've been cast as a person of color, and the sort of official teaser dropped at D23. Most of the criticism. Let me see which one did I grab. Oh, I grabbed Studio Disney. Oh, I don't have the discard option on this computer. When I last checked the upvotes, it says that 695,000 upvotes, but the downvotes was 1.6 million. Oh, there it goes. It did populate. 1.9. It did populate. It took a minute for it to populate. So that means 606,000 upvotes, 1.9, almost 2 million downvotes. And most of the comments are not about her not being white. They're about how crappy everything looks, which I think is what Grifter's trying to get at. And I do apologize. My computer is not wanting to play nice. We already had one blip tonight with the power outage or whatever I had going on. So I'm trying to get it to work. It's just buffering. I just go back to what I'm saying. I don't know, Mags and AJ, you guys seen stories that talk about how bad the CGI houses are being run right now, why they can't get people and all that kind of stuff?
I've heard through people like Midnight's Edge and everything how. Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't know the full story, but I have heard things, and it's not looking too hot, y'all. The CGI is going to get worse. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. No, I don't know for sure myself. I've heard from sources that they're just being overworked. But again, Disney, where's the Renaissance? Give us some great 2D animation,
amen.
And put some, not a skin over it, but just evolve the technology. Stop operating within the safe zone. Stop making these people just come in here to generate these images. Actually sit down, develop a plan, and create something. Yeah, and this trailer looks terrible.
Yeah, it does.
And I enjoy the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Little Mermaid, again, this is in this Nexus era. And if those of you that didn't live through it, that era of, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, this was like this Nexus era. And that's when I was having kids at the end of that. So it's like all these movies were already out. It was so much fun. Revisiting the Disney universe, enjoying these films with kids and all of that. And
it was definitely the golden age of 2D animation. It was like a
Renaissance is a great use for that.
Yeah, it was like a very, just almost every other year was just a great animated movie. So,
and it didn't really kind of pick up again until there are pieces of things that look right because they shoot certain things, and then the rendering just becomes a mess. So the person that rendered those green plants when she enters, yeah, that person did a good job. Feel good for you. You did all right. Those things look like they're actually really in water and they're actually moving. But then when you start to move through it all, it looks like crap again. It's just terrible. And what I understand is they just can't get enough good people. So this is when she emerges. She looks white in that shot, by the way. I don't know. I know she's not, but you start to see what she really looks like. And for whatever reason, she does have red hair.
Yeah, like you weren't going to keep her the same. Like, why even bother with her red hair? Just go all out.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl. I really feel bad for her because she's going to be sucked up in a bunch of backlash. And even if it's not race driven, they're going to make it that way. I'm sure she'll come out and she'll do the exact same thing that Moses Ingram did. Did I say her name right? Is that her name?
Yeah.
I was warned about how racist these fans are, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, no, we don't care. We just want a good movie. And you're really touching one that you shouldn't have taken the job for. Like, I got to be honest, that script would have to knock my socks off. I'd see some CGI tests and stuff before I'd touch a project like this.
So these people, this whole representation argument. Well, okay, if little girls or kids need to see themselves in these characters, well, you only just did this for the black girls. What about the Italian girls, the Russian girls, the Mexican girls, the Asians? Where are they mermaids at? If you would have just gave us a mermaid's story, maybe, and Ariel and her friends or something, I don't know, where you can get those races in there, I think that would have been better received than just taking Ariel and have her with the black face. And again, this is Disney, so I'm saying, like, they're bastardizing their own projects. Like, this just came out, like about 20 years ago, probably a little bit more than that. But it's like, dang, you are already reaching back there, and again, trying to get that money, capitalize off that name. But we're just going to put a different skin on it this time.
And you hit the nail on the head, AJ. It is. I mean, of course, every big business. Money is the bottom line, but this is almost next level greedy. It's so sad because you almost want to ask the question because the answer is false, but you almost want to ask the question: are you actually making money from the old stuff? Because I'm pretty sure you are. So why are you putting a new skin on something to get? I mean, I don't. Well, because The Lion King made some money in the theater, but I just can't imagine people wanting to buy the DVDs or the Blu-rays or whatever of these movies. They're getting them on streaming. So what kind of value are you getting out of this? I mean, not just entertainment value, but also monetary value. It's not the same thing.
I think it's just cheap content, and they know that this is so they have cheap content in a way they can plug into the Disney Plus universe, and this is actually not going to cost them that much to piece this together and throw it in theaters and probably make $500, $600, $700 billion just because that's the market in the world we live in. People will do, especially with kids movies. People will let their kids sit through garbage if it entertains the kids for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I will say, I know it's not what everybody wants to hear, but it really, really is. So, and you got your supporters, man. Zach's saying, yeah, preach it, man. Pretending villains are actual heroes while becoming the villains themselves. That is Disney. And yes, the trailer looks terrible visually. It is just insane.
Zach's is a good dude.
He's always on point. Always on point. So I'm talking about it's so dark. It's like they want to put something in the minds of kids. I don't think they. I really think most likely, if it's not fixed by the time we see it and it's not a lighter tone, it's because it's hiding how bad some of the CGI is. You can cheat a little bit easier when it's dark.
I think somebody has mentioned that before, where when they darken. Oh, it was over on. Either we were talking about it or somebody else was talking about it with Obi-Wan show. Mm-hmm. Like some scenes were just so utterly dark. It's kind of like, are you trying to hide something?
Mm-hmm. They are. Yeah. And you can tell with She-Hulk because they can't hide it. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna mention this when I talk about the Pinocchio thing as well, because it really hit me with the Jiminy Cricket character. Because what the problem is there is no texture. They don't go back. It's just like green face paint. It's like the Wicked character. It's like Shrek, but there's no texture. There's nothing. It doesn't feel like actual skin. There's no hair. There's no pores in the skin. It does not look real.
There's no detail. Yeah.
And even when they try to do detail, they're not doing wrinkles, and they're not doing things that are real to our brains and what we see in one another. So something like this, I don't know if you guys have heard. Is all of Little Mermaid's family, are all of them black, or is it just her? Is she like? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see, because it was. I got to be honest. It's funny to me that it was news that it got ratioed so bad, because that's a big number, to be honest.
Yep.
I really and it's not all of it. And just like my coworker, because she walked by, I had my notes up, and saw Hocus Pocus 2 was announced. We don't have to cover Hocus Pocus 2, but that was what she dialed into. Oh, there's going to be a Hocus Pocus 2? Like, she could care less about Little Mermaid. She didn't care about Mufasa. She just like, there's a hope, because that's that middle-aged white lady's thing. She's into that. Now, that's not my thing, but there's money that's going to go into that for her. She'll be consuming it. So they know they have to hit these different buckets. So let me ask you guys, when you have something as big as Disney is, are we being too, okay, I know it's crap content, but we should at least acknowledge they are trying to hit all of these different boxes. They've gotten themselves so big, because everyone complains there's so much being generated, but they're so massive. They got to put something in for this group of people and this group. Now, I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to throw something against the wall for these people, something on the wall for they look at them all as independent line items in their business. That's how I looked at it. I thought, well, they got to have another princess movie. They got to have another live action adaptation. They just keep throwing. They're plugging off. They're ticking off these like to-do list things. It's not a creative process. It's not you had a good script. It's just they're ticking off boxes.
I think if they were checking boxes, it shouldn't be like a diversity or representation checking your boxes. I was talking to my wife about this. As I really think about this stuff wrecks my brain. But
that's why you're so good, my friend.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. I think with checking the boxes, instead of just pulling their Renaissance movies to the present and putting a different skin on them, and while also taking away all the soul that they had, check boxes as in, okay, The Lion King. We had a story with talking animals about, a kingdom. With Mulan, we have a warrior princess going against, traditional ways of her culture. Beauty and the Beast. Okay, we have somebody in love with a different creature. I think they should check boxes in that way, as opposed to, okay, we're going to take this movie that we already made and we're going to check boxes with, okay, let's put this colored person in there. Let's put this sexual orientation in there. Or, let's make sure we have a woman, just making things happen. So I think checking boxes from a company standpoint would be fine if they looked at it like, okay, what were the movies that made us big back then, and how do we redo that, but not, like I said, so literally redo the movies.
Max, do you see it as what I was trying to pitch to you? Like, it's instead of looking at saying, well, we need something in the little boy demographic from 9 to 13, and we need something for the Star Wars adults, and we need something for the Star Wars kids, and now it's more like a hodgepodge of stuff where we just click off these little boxes, and like you said, right? Diversity, inclusion, and equity matter more than a quality script that you're trying to get through.
Yeah, it's also corporate. It's so cold.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very cold, and like AJ said, it's very soulless. And how do you? It's the way they write these characters too. They have no depth. They have no soul. They don't like. How am I supposed to? They talk about diversity. They're so surface level depth. I mean, it's so. I mean, you talk about don't judge a book by its cover, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. There's no level of depth that they can with these stories, and it's just it's empty. And I'm like, why would I want to watch empty entertainment when I can find other things that have something that speaks to the human level? And this is not it. So no, just it's a no for me for this stuff.
Well, if it wasn't this bad, we wouldn't get such great dad humor from someone like Zach, who says, I don't know who this is for, but it's obvious and I made for me, but the kids are clamoring for this.
Yeah.
There you go. That's his dad pun for the day. That's good, man. Then he asked, I'm verifying what I heard. So I'm verifying what I heard. He asked, is Lizzie playing Ursula? And I'm verifying Lizzo, I'm sorry. Lizzie, who the heck is Lizzie? Yep, I'm right. Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula. Yep. Melissa McCarthy. That seems like a fat shaming situation, in my opinion, but that may be me.
She slimmed down.
And Javier Bardem. Oh, has she?
I mean, she's not like Adele slim, but she's slimmer than what she was. And I honestly think that she was great casting for Ursula. I would still have to see. I would have to see her performance as Ursula, but I believe in that actor enough to where Ursula is not so far off from her character. She would have to play like conniving or whatnot, but besides that, yeah, I think she's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I see her as a witch. It's fine with me. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Javier Bardem plays King Triton, so he's Hispanic. They didn't go. I don't know exactly. Haley. Her name is Haley Bailey. Hallie,
I think.
Like,
yeah,
it's the same name, but they spell it. What really?
Yeah, I got a little confused with how to say her name, so I just don't say her name. I'm sorry.
I'm like, what are we doing here? So yeah,
because I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. With there's Halle Berry, which she was beautiful and awesome and everything, and now is it Haley
or Halle? So Halle Berry and now Halle Bailey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's what we're going to go for, I guess. Anyway, she's going to be in the new Color Purple because that's what we all wanted. We wanted another Color Purple movie. And that's what y'all wanted to know.
What?
So in the same year that she's doing this, they're doing a musical, The Color Purple, the musical, Alice Walker's novel. Kid you not, 2023. Also, it'll be the year of Halle Bailey. I have to pause to say it so I don't say it too wrong. Yeah, kid you not. There's the musical. I know she can sing because I've heard her sing before she got this gig. So yeah, they're doing a musical of The Color Purple. Yeah.
Have y'all seen the? I think it was Mowgli on Netflix.
Mowgli?
No,
yes,
I have not.
I did. It was pretty dark and edgy. I liked it a lot. Actually,
you liked it? Well, yes, I enjoyed that movie as well. And that was Netflix taking it's not exactly Disney, but took that adaptation.
Public domain. Yeah, Jungle Book is public domain, so you can do that. It's like Sherlock Holmes and some of this other stuff. Depending on there are pieces of it you can't do, but for the most part, it's public domain, so we can make your own.
And that was a great adaptation of their story that was better than Disney's adaptation at the time. So it can be done.
And Zach's is showing some McCarthy love, so all right, you're to each your own.
Yeah, I think she could make a great Ursula, but when the whole story is terrible, the writing is like, how much can she really save the movie?
Mm-hmm. There's only so much acting can do if the dialogue and the writing is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of got to our time even faster than I thought we would because there is a lot of crazy stuff with that. So we'll have to get together and talk again, especially AJ and I have to get into some of this comic book and Disney stuff and things like that because they did dump a lot of stuff. I guess Werewolf by Night's coming like really soon, like that's like October, and then like Secret Invasion and some of this other stuff's coming really fast. And I don't know. They don't look. My expectations are so low at this point. What have they done to my universe? Whenever I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess we'll see. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing too with this stuff. When the movies or the shows first come out, it's like not us, of course, everybody praises them, and then all of a sudden a month later, silence. Like,
right.
It's like,
where's the my She-Hulk reviews are like this. No one cares now.
Yeah.
No one cares now. Once she twerked, I don't expect to get a view now.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, it's over now. Everybody checked out, man.
That twerk thing, I have not seen She-Hulk, and I'm so glad I didn't. But that thing came around on my timeline so many times. I was like, I almost wanted to mute people because I
Well, I was juggling so much stuff yesterday, but I was going to do some more shorts out of my She-Hulk number 50. It's this issue that's based on John Byrne being dead, and it's because nothing in the She-Hulk comic book is as serious as they try to pretend it is. It's totally like very jovial, and the fourth wall's broken or whatever. So the writer creator John Byrne is dead. They have to find a new one. So the premise of the comic book is that they're showcasing all of these different writers and creators through there. And I had this because Frank Miller did a piece. So I'm gonna take a picture and show everybody Frank Miller doing She-Hulk and Walt Simonson doing She-Hulk as Thor, and it just doesn't take anything seriously. And it's such a contrast to what this garbage is that we're being fed. I'm gonna try to get to that. But what do you guys got going on the next couple of days? Anything going on, Mags? You got a schedule? You got a stream coming up? I didn't know about the last one.
Yeah, I'm kind of random.
All right.
But no, I don't have anything. I'm usually around in the chats. I do mod for a couple of channels, so I try to promote them and help them out. But it just all depends. Sometimes I'll get invitations. Not a couple days. Not a couple days in advance. So it's almost like, all right, yeah, I'm free tonight. I can do this. It's like that sort of thing. So you'll see me around, and then on occasion I will click that live button. So
Here we go.
You'll see me around, y'all.
So make sure you're subscribed and hooked up with Mags there. So, AJ, you got a couple of videos that happen every week. You got a certain set time you kind of piece things together, or it's still just kind of finding itself?
I'm still trying to find. I try to do a video a week, but I only make videos about stuff I truly care about. So, which I got to get better about actually making quality content regularly. But yeah, I don't know. My next video is going to be Mufasa. We're talking about what that movie will be about and just issues with that. So yeah, I never know. I just go with the flow. Whatever happens that spurs me to make a video, I go make it. But yeah, subscribe to the channel to hear my thoughts on whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff though, man. You're selling yourself short. I think Mags is my only mod that's here right now, so we will have to figure out. The links will be in the description, of course. I make sure I have everybody set up.
I've been putting the links in the chat.
Yeah, there we go. AJ's got us like there. Mags got us hooked up.
She's been making it happen. Thank you.
Yeah, she's amazing.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we got another videos together and just kind of keep getting to know each other. And so I love what you're doing. I heard you on with Flacids and stuff like that, cutting up. Those guys know how to bring some crazy.
Wild boys.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And all you folks in chat, you make this happen. It's just been such a blast. This has all gone crazy faster for me too. Like I just remember Mag, we were talking back at freaking Star Wars Day, and everything has changed so much for me since Star Wars Day. I just can't even get my head around it. I was like, maybe by the end of the year I'll be close to getting eligible for monetization. Maybe I'll be able to. And now it's just like, okay, I wasn't able to do stuff as much like for a couple weeks, and everything is just crazy. It's a difficult challenge. So if you want to get into this, guys, just know you've got to set your own expectations. You're living by your own rules. You're not competing with anyone else. The YouTube algorithm is your biggest enemy, not each other. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us for so long. It's great stuff. Great chat to catch up on all these different shows and franchises and all those kind of updates. And for all of you in chat, just thanks for hanging out with us. And it's definitely appreciate. I really enjoy doing this. This is just it's fancy. I get to do this. Is really still kind of blows my mind. So I go out there to make tomorrow a little better than today. Be blessed and talk hard and remember to chill.
All I do is chill. My life is a thrill for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem. I'll solve it, Bob Ross.